Have you ever used an AI like ChatGPT to help you write an email, a report, or maybe even a university essay? It feels a bit like magic, right? You type in a prompt and out comes this perfectly structured text. It's fast, it's easy, and it can be a real lifesaver when you're on a deadline.
It absolutely can. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually happening inside your brain when you do that? Are you still doing the thinking, or is the AI doing it for you? And if the AI is doing the heavy lifting, what's the long-term cost?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what a new paper from researchers at MIT and other institutions decided to investigate. The paper is called Your Brain on ChatGPT: Accumulation of Cognitive Debt When Using an AI Assistant for Essay Writing Task.
Welcome to Daily Papers, where we break down the most interesting research papers into bite-sized pieces. Today, we're looking at what happens to our brain activity when we outsource our writing to AI.
So the researchers set up a really clever experiment. They took 54 participants and split them into 3 groups. The task for everyone was to write an essay based on an SAT prompt, and they had 20 minutes to do it.
The first group was the LLM group. LLM stands for Large Language Model, which is the technology behind tools like ChatGPT. This group could only use ChatGPT to help them write their essay. No Google, no other websites, just them and the AI.
The second group was the search engine group. They could use the internet, specifically Google, to research and write, but they were explicitly banned from using any AI chatbots. This is kind of the old school way of writing a research essay.
And the third group was the brain-only group. No ChatGPT, no Google, no tools at all. They had to rely purely on their own knowledge, creativity, and brain power.
Now here's the really cool part. While these participants were writing, they were all wearing an EEG headset. EEG stands for electroencephalography. It's basically a cap with a bunch of sensors on it that can measure the electrical activity of the brain, your brain waves. It allows scientists to see in real time which parts of the brain are active and how they're communicating with each other.
So what did they find? The results are fascinating. The first major finding was about something called neural connectivity. You can think of this as how much different parts of your brain are talking to each other. A brain that's working hard on a complex task is like a bustling city, with information flowing everywhere.
And the brains of the brain-only group were the most bustling cities of all. The EEG showed their brains had the strongest and most widespread connectivity. The networks involved in memory, planning, creativity, and deep thought were all firing on all cylinders. They were doing all the cognitive work themselves, and their brains showed it.
Now compare that to the LLM group, the ones using ChatGPT. Their brain connectivity was the lowest of all 3 groups. It was a much quieter city. The researchers suggest this is because they were cognitively offloading the task. They let the AI handle the structure, the ideas, and the phrasing, so their own brains didn't have to engage those deep, effortful thinking processes.
The search engine group, as you might guess, was somewhere in the middle. They were still actively searching, evaluating sources, and putting information together, so their brains were more active than the ChatGPT group, but not quite as active as the brain-only group, who were building everything from scratch.
Okay, so that's interesting in itself. Using ChatGPT seems to quiet down the creative and planning parts of our brain. But the researchers added a twist in a 4th session that revealed something even more profound. They swapped the groups.
Exactly. They took people who had only used ChatGPT and told them, okay, now you have to write an essay with just your brain. And they took people from the brain-only group and said, for this essay, you get to use ChatGPT.
And this is where the title of the paper comes in: Accumulation of Cognitive Debt. When the regular ChatGPT users had their AI assistant taken away, their brains didn't just magically switch on to the same level as the brain-only group. Their neural connectivity was still significantly lower. It's like they hadn't been exercising those mental muscles, and now that they needed them, the muscles were weaker. They had built up a cognitive debt.
It's a powerful idea. By consistently relying on an external tool, they might have hindered the development of their own internal cognitive networks. But what about the other group, the people who wrote with just their brains and then got access to ChatGPT?
Their brains lit up like a Christmas tree. The task of learning to use the AI, integrating its suggestions, and working with this new tool was a fresh cognitive challenge. Their neural connectivity actually spiked, showing they were deeply engaged in a new kind of thinking, partially managing their own ideas and partially managing the AI.
The study didn't just look at brainwaves, it also looked at behavior. After each essay, the researchers interviewed the participants. They asked them a simple question: can you quote any sentence from the essay you just wrote?
The results were stark. An incredible 83% of ChatGPT users in the first session couldn't correctly quote a single sentence from the essay they had literally just finished writing. They hadn't internalized the material. Meanwhile, the brain-only and search engine users had very little trouble quoting their own work.
That really hits home. It suggests that when we use AI to generate text, we're not encoding that information into our own memory in the same way. We don't feel the same sense of ownership over the words. And the participants said this much in the interviews. The brain-only group felt their essays were 100% their own, while the language model group felt a much more fragmented, partial sense of ownership.
The researchers even had human English teachers grade the essays without knowing which group they came from. The teachers often commented that some essays, while grammatically perfect, felt soulless and lacked personal nuance, and these were often the ones written with AI assistance. They could feel the absence of a human mind at work.
So what's the big takeaway here? Is the message that AI is bad and we should never use it?
Not at all. The authors are very clear that these tools have huge benefits, but their findings suggest a crucial trade-off. The convenience of AI comes at a cognitive cost. It makes rating easier, but it does so by reducing the engagement of the very brain networks we need for deep thinking, memory, and creativity.
It seems the key is mindful usage. Using AI as a brainstorming partner or a grammar checker is one thing, but letting it do all the thinking for you might be like always taking the elevator instead of the stairs. It's easier in the short term, but you miss out on the exercise.
Exactly. The study suggests we might need to be more strategic, perhaps using AI tools after we've done the initial hard work ourselves. By understanding this trade-off, we can harness the power of AI without accidentally letting our own cognitive abilities fall behind. It's a reminder that when it comes to thinking, there are no shortcuts without a cost.